Update at noon with Sakina Kamwendo, midday to 1 p.m. Update at noon with Sakina Kamwendo.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Update at Noon. Well, one of the stories that has just come to light for us, and we will be bringing you up to speed with regard to this, is former EFF Secretary General Godric Gardee. Now, he's gone on to his Twitter feed to speak about the update on the death of his daughter, whom you will remember has been brutally murdered. And Gardee, this time, coming out on his Twitter feed, claiming that the Swazi monarch is involved in this. And we called him, and he said that this is indeed his account. It's not hacked, and he's not speaking at the moment, but we'll bring you up to speed with more of that and also get some reaction from the government of Eswatini. Here is a clip of Gardee speaking during that protest back in April 2022.
We have just sent a signal to Mswati ukuthi siyafika embabane kunasikudala sifikile lapha kangwane Eswatini sababingelela ama immigration officers akhe ngibone sebambingelela kakhulu lomunye ngathi hayi mina samkhulumisi kakhulu uyani sibiyelene emuva ngibone kulokufunekako mafighter akakwati Mswati ukuthi his days are numbered lapha na kulesikhundla sakhe. We are very much proud of the people of Eswatini. They have shown such unity, all of them, across all political parties in Eswatini. They have come here. Notwithstanding that the 12th April 1973 proclamation is still there, and they continue to fight. We can assure you, our brothers and sisters from Eswatini, which is the 29 June Woman Commemorator, the fallen heroes of the struggle of the people of Eswatini for democratization. We can assure you that on the 6th of September, we will be with you when you, Mswati does what he calls a celebration of independence. What independence is it when there are no political parties allowed to contest elections? What he calls dialogue, Lapa Espa and Sake, we call it monologue.
So that was a clip from the protest back in April 2022. And of course, Mr. Gardee went on to tweet. It's a whole thread. And if you have access to it, you can actually go and read through all of that. But as we indicated, we did reach out to Mr. Gardee. We spoke to him, and he actually assured us that the chat is a live chat and that he has in fact been tweeting. He's not speaking at the moment, merely tweeting, but he stands by everything on his Twitter account and he has not been hacked. So for more on this, we thought we'd go to the Eswatini government to get their view on what Mr. Gardee has now said. And we are joined on the line by a spokesperson of the Eswatini government, Mr. Alpheus Nxumalo. Mr. Nxumalo, thanks for your time. Welcome to Update at Noon.
Hello.
Good afternoon, Mr. Nxumalo. Welcome to Update at Noon.
Afternoon.
Mr. Nxumalo, thanks so much for speaking to us. Let me start by just gauging whether the Eswatini government is aware of the tweets by Mr. Gardee.
Let me start here by appealing to you. I am not attracted by your style and practice of journalism. Next time I will not be enthusiastic to participate in your interview if you will open and you allow clips there that are insulting our head of state. That is unjournalistic, that is unethical. And you cannot open your ways to people that are insulting our head of state. The next time you do that, I will cut off the interview because I cannot participate in something like that. However,
Mr. Nxumalo, may I just respond to that?
Your question. No, I'm not interested in what you say unless you are saying you don't want to continue with the interview.
That's not what I'm saying, Mr.
Nxumalo.
I'm responding to what you were saying in terms of what I put out was a context for our listeners about what Mr. Gardee had said And this is, of course, what he has confirmed with us. He has said it is on his Twitter feed, and we do not assume that our listeners have seen that.
English very well. We have to switch on to Siswati or one of your 9 languages. I am saying to you, next time when you invite me to participate in your interview, I would not be enthusiastically happy to participate if you will play clicks insulting my head of state. It shouldn't be so. It's unethical, it's unjournalistic to do so. Now I'm responding to your question with regards to the diatribe that Mr. Ngadi is first publishing his Twitter account. First and foremost, we do not want to dignify these wild allegations with a response. There is no response we are going to formally give to it. Secondly, our government does not have a history of running after people, taking people down because they toileted the border because of their political beliefs. I don't know why Mr. Ngadi is prizing himself so highly politically. Maybe he doesn't know the history of border blockages in this country. These were started by COSATU in the very early in the 1990s. They were blocking the borders from time to time, not for 6 hours, as he claimed to have done with a few heads of people which he managed to mobilize to the border that day. So these claims have got absolutely no truth in them, and our government cannot dignify it by giving it a comment. Mr. Ngadi must allow the justice system of the Republic of South Africa to unfold. The matter is pending before courts in his own country. There are suspects that are appearing in court as a result of this criminal matter of Mr. Ngadi's daughter. A very unfortunate development in the Republic of South Africa, but not a new one, because South Africa is infested with the cancer of criminality from head to toe of the Republic. Mr. Ngadi, as a public officer, as a parliamentarian, he should be working on bringing legislations that will reduce the level of crime in South Africa, instead of trying to expose conspiracy theories about how his own daughter fell a victim of the criminal-infested atmosphere in the Republic.
Mr. Nxumalo, was there any approach by the South African Police Service to the Swati monarch?
Come again?
Was there any approach made by the South African police services to the Swati monarch with regard to this particular
Absolutely
murder?
Nothing. There's nothing like that.
So no questions.
What would they approach? At the first place, listen, my daughter. That's why I'm saying maybe you need to sharpen your journalistic and your ethical skills as well. There is no way a police service in one country can approach a head of state of another country. These things are not structured like that. They don't work like that. Even if there is a matter to be raised with our government here, there are channels the South African security services would have used in the diplomatic setup on how to approach one government with a certain particular concern or issue. It doesn't work like you are suggesting to your viewers.
This is obviously assumed, Mr. Nxumalo. Was there an approach made
I'm correcting
through
those assumptions.
any channel?
I'm correcting those assumptions.
So
I'm correcting those assumptions.
it's not an assumption. The assumption is that
practices of two neighboring states which are sovereign and independent from each other. There is no police officer that can come here, that can go here to approach a certain head of state, a head of state in the Republic of South Africa or anywhere else. If there is a need to communicate from one state to the other, there are diplomatic channels that are engaged and employed in order to convey messages like that, if
Yes.
any at all.
absolutely. So through those channels, you are saying that there was no approach made.
We are not even expecting one for that matter, because I don't think there is any government worth its salt like the government of the ANC in South Africa who can pick up a matter of such wild allegation, unfounded falsehood, peddled lies, and approach another state with that. So we are not expecting it, and it will not come, because the governments don't respond on peddled lies and false allegations.
So
That's why I'm suggesting to you, to Mr. Ngadi, and to your viewers and your listeners, that allow the justice system of South Africa to unfold in as far as this matter is concerned. If your justice system is functional, is dysfunctional, Mr. Ngadi is an MP, he must take up his legislative responsibilities and fix it.
So let me ask this. The Swati government, do you have a Twitter page, Mr. Nxumalo? The one that seems to be verified, is that indeed the Twitter page of the government?
Yes, our government do have a Twitter page.
So on that Twitter page, there is a tweet, and I want to quote from it. It says, "Government will not sit back and watch as terrorists intimidate eMaSwati, and has assured the nation that government will not hesitate to respond with the necessary force to protect our national security as a sovereign state." Unquote. So
yes.
This is also in the thread that has been put out, and
we are a law-abiding nation.
So
we don't have a history of assaulting and assassinating people out of law. We are a law-abiding state.
So what does that
you are
mean?
reading there, are you then suggesting that Daddy is a terrorist?
I'm not suggesting anything. I'm asking you, what does it mean, Mr. Nxumalo?
No, you are not correct.
I'm asking, what does it mean?
Out of the context of the conversation that you and I are having right now.
To be fair, Mr. Nxumalo, you are the one making the assumption now. I am asking a direct question. What was meant by that tweet? I'm not assuming anything. I'm simply asking. I started by establishing with you.
Why are you bringing that tweet to this conversation? That
because
tweet has got absolutely no relevance to the question and the conversation we are having now. The conversation we are having now is about the tweet that was made by Daddy, making wide allegations that in the death of his daughter there was somehow foreign elements involved, pointing to our sovereign state.
And this is put up as this is part of
our Twitter and what we deposit in our Twitter.
Well, it is, Mr. Nxumalo, because
are we finished with what you called me?
No, but Mr. Nxumalo,
we're starting another conversation.
I've been very patient with you. I let you speak. I waited for you. I'm asking you questions. You're speaking over me. You are basically, essentially wanting to say what you want to say without necessarily affording the same respect. And I say this with the greatest of respect to you. I think, from the onset, you've been disparaging. I mean, you've just been throwing all sorts of insults around. And I sat here and I listened. And the reason I listened is because I want to hear your side of the story, not because I'm in agreement with the things you say, Mr. Nxumalo. Because
I'm also right now. I'm also not interested to hear you insulting me.
Mr. Nxumalo, I'm not insulting you. I'm putting to you what you have said to me.
It's a very specific story you are engaging me with. And I made my feelings known to you very early in the conversation about how I am not happy about the clips you were playing. Were those clips not insulting?
Mr. Nxumalo, there is freedom of expression in South Africa. There is freedom of speech in South Africa. I was contextualizing for our listeners, as we always do, where the story stems from. This is what Mr. Gadi had posted on his tweet.
In any case, my sister, it looks like this is not the day for us to do this, to continue with this conversation.
Why not, Mr. Nxumalo? Why not?
Maybe you'll have to restructure your questions and pick the topics that you
Mr. Nxumalo, I cannot ask the questions the way you want them to be asked.
We are with the view that we are dealing with this matter and we are busy along the way.
No, Mr. Nxumalo.
Which are irrelevant to the
I
subject.
couldn't disagree with you more strongly, Mr. Nxumalo. You cannot sit there and want me to ask the questions the way you want them to be asked. You cannot sit there and expect me not to play something that a leader in our South African society has said, has put up on his poster feed, because we do in South Africa have freedom of speech and of expression. Nobody has the right to not be insulted. Unfortunately, that's what freedom of speech and expression comes with. And I'm not even sure why that was now put on us as something insulting to the king. We were simply providing context.
We are done with the interview for today.
I suppose we are, Mr. Nxumalo. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
That was Eswatini government's Alpheus Nxumalo, and you heard it. Apparently, we shouldn't start a conversation with context because it's insulting to the king. This was said by Godrich Gadi out in April. You go to his page, this is where it starts. And Mr. Gadi is alleging that, of course, because of what happened during that particular speech, what was said and happened during the protest, he is now saying, is Mr. Godrich Gadi, that the Eswatini monarch, he's saying that King Mswati III allegedly used foreign intelligence to kill his daughter, and that the South African police services are somehow trying to block this, and they are refusing to hand this matter over to the Hawks. This is the story. We spoke to Mr. Gadi. He said, I'm tweeting for now. I'm not speaking, but you can take it. That is me. I am tweeting. My page is not hacked. So make of that.
Update at noon with Sakina Kamwendo, midday to 1 p.m.